And welcome back again. Here we are with the women's 2024 NCAA Conference Championship preview. And just like the men, this will be an extremely fun and competitive weekend with the competition happening all over the country. Again, this is, the last hurrah of the Pac-12, and I'm just a little more sad about it in this video because I'm just thinking my first foray to watching college track and field videos when I was a very young kid came at the hands of Fox Sports Net, and they would do a recap of the Pac-10 at that time championships, and I would sit and watch and just love those videos. And it's where I learned about the USC UCLA rivalry. It's where I first saw Angela Williams come in as a freshman, and I was watching even before then, but I just remember seeing those great races. And here we are in the last hurrah of the Pac 12, but I think they should have a very good meet. And just like on our men's preview, there are four legs, and this is going to be based off the intriguing matchups. And so the first leg, just like on the men's side, will be the sprints and hurdles and a few different events here. On the women's side, I think the most intriguing matchup in the 100 will be at the SEC, and it will be Jason Sears, who is ranked number one, versus Brianna Lisson of LSU, who is number two. So Tennessee versus LSU. That'll happen a lot at the SEC championships on the women's side, especially in the speed events. This is going to be a very interesting 100. Jason Sears set the world on fire when she ran that 10.77 at the, I believe it was the Tom Jones Memorial, not the Florida Relays, but she ran that 10.77, and that made everybody go, she's still number one in the world right now. Granted, the professional sprinters are coming along slowly, but I think she's going to be there near the top for a while, and she may steal a spot at the Team USA Olympic trials. And Brianna Lisson, I think, has got a uphill battle in Jamaica because of that recent video of Elaine Thompson-Herah, who looked great. And then you got Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, who looks great. And then you got Sharika Jackson, who looks great. She's going to have an uphill climb, but her 10.8, you can't shake that. That's a great time. And this is going to be a great race. And we may see the top time in the country get lowered again. It'll be on a very fast track there at the University of Florida, and it'll be one of the highlighted competitions of the entire weekend. And the 200 will stay in the SEC. And this, like the men's, will be an SEC heavy preview, and I'm not trying for it to be. The top matchups are there. And just like the 100, the 1 and 2 is going to go against each other in the 200. You have Jamisha Ford of South Carolina versus Mackenzie Long of Ole Miss. I have repeatedly talked on this channel about how great Jamisha Ford is, specifically because she is a freshman and she has done everything asked of her. But we cannot ignore she has one L, and that came at the hands of Mackenzie Long. We also cannot ignore Mackenzie Long as a sub 22 performance. Regardless of the win condition, she has one. So, because she's already got those things in her back pocket, this may not go the way we think with Jamisha Ford running away with it. This may be an opportunity for Mackenzie Long to have her coming out party. She's in that 100, but I think the 200 is where her bread is butter, and I think is where she'll be the strongest. She's going to really give Ford a chase. They have the top times together. Granted, Long's is winded, but Mackenzie Long does have the wind over Ford already. We can't ignore that. And then our last event on the women's side in the sprints and hurdles will remain in the SEC, and it's the 100 hurdles. And it's Grace Stark versus the LSU hurdlers. And LSU this to me is one of their better years of hurdling. You got Leah Phillips, you have Shania Bellamy, and you have, of course, Aaliyah Armstrong. They have so much depth in the hurdles this year. And I want to say a pair of 12.7 runners, and neither of them is Aaliyah Armstrong, who we know can run a 12.5. So let's put that out there. This is going to be a phenomenal race. It's going to be very, very fast. Grace Stark is on her home track. She is really sort of the leader of the sprints and hurdles group at Florida, which to me is having a noticeable down year. They had a big transfer mid-season in Ramia Elliott. Layla Owens is not listed in any of the events this weekend. Kayla Davis is slowly coming along. She's not even in the 400. She's competing in the 200. Vanessa Watson, their great hurdler, is finally competing Grace Stark has really kind of been the catalyst of this group and will probably continue to be. And she's going up against a really great group of hurdlers at LSU, but I think on her home track, she may have something to say. We'll move to our second leg, which will be our distance events. And I think the biggest distance event this weekend, which is a 1 versus 2 matchup, will be the steeplechase. And it will be Doris Lemengol of Alabama versus Elise Thorner of Florida, who transferred from New Mexico. And Elise Thorner had the number one ranked time in the steeplechase for a week, and then here comes Doris Lemengol, who's a talented freshman at Alabama. And clearly, these are the best two distance programs on the women's side this year in the SEC. Arkansas is going to always be there, but this year it's very clearly Alabama and Florida. And with it being on the home track of Florida, Lemon Goal is going to get everything Thorner can throw at her. She's going to be at her best. She's going to have the home crowd, and she's going to have her teammates really supporting her. Lemon Goal is going to be in a foreign territory, but that young lady can really run. She's already, got the top time, but this will be a very good race. We're looking at, I'm almost positive, the new number one time after this weekend in this event. The 5,000, you have the number one ranked Hilda Olamomoy. Parker Valby is not ranked this outdoor season, but we know she won the national title indoors, broke the collegiate record, and then she broke the collegiate record in the 10,000, which is she's number one ranked right now. She's not run a whole lot for obvious reasons. But she's competing here in the 5K, again on her home track. This is another Alabama versus Florida matchup. I want to lean towards Hilda Olamomoy and not necessarily give a expectation, but I'm positive that it will be Parker Valby. In the 800, you have Gladys Chippengetich of Clemson versus Michaela Page of North Carolina. And that is going to be a very, very competitive race. That is 2 versus 5. And it's the best matchup for the 800 this weekend because I think all the other 800 runners will have a lot of runaway times. Expect for there to possibly be a sub 2 minute performance from Chipkatich or Page, and I really think Chipkatich is in the best condition. She's run against the most competition, but North Carolina is really doing a good job uh, in the 800 and their distance events. And they've had great 100 runners historically, and she's kind of the next one. But you can't ignore what's going on at Clemson. The coach at Clemson, Chip Nkatich, may shock us and give us a 159. Now, moving from the second leg to the third leg, we have our jumps, and this is where things get really interesting. And so far, we looked in the sprints. We had SEC, SEC, SEC. The distance was SEC, SEC, ACC. Now, the jumps were returning back to the SEC in the high jump first. You got Lamar Diston in 1 of Texas A&M, Elena Kulichenko of Georgia at number 2, and Rachel Glenn of Arkansas at number 5. But you can't ignore Rachel Glenn won the indoor title, beating both of them. All 3 of them are back here again at the SEC Championships. It'll be at the University of Florida again. Woo! You got 2 collegiate record holders in Lamar Diston and Rachel Glenn, and then Kulichenko always shows up. She's going to put up a good mark. This is going to be a great competition between these two. And then our next jumping event, we'll look at the pole vault, and we'll finally go to the Big Ten. You have Chloe Timberg, who is tied for number 1 of Rutgers, and you have Tori Thomas, who's number 4 of Illinois. And Petros is doing all he can to develop some great jumpers because they've got plenty of ranked athletes in the high jump, the long jump, the triple jump, and the pole vault. They are jumping all over the place in Illinois, and that's where their points are going to heavily come from. And I still think Chloe Timberg, because she's one of the only 15-foot jumpers this season, and she's a gamer. You see this picture that I have posted. She is ripped, strong, and she should probably win this. This will be a great competition in the Big Ten at the University of Michigan between these two. And I'm going to lean towards Timberg, as you can probably tell, just because she consistently shows up well in the Big Ten. Tori Thomas, the last time those two competed against each other, was not able to beat Timberg. And I think Timberg is just a better pole vaulter at this current time. Our last jumping event we'll look at is the triple jump. And of course, we're going to the Big 12 because, whoa. Just whoa. 1, 3, 4, and 6. 4 of the top 8 athletes in the country are all in the Big 12, and all 4 are capable of winning the Big 12 title. 3 of the 4 already have won a Big 12 title. This is going to be big. You have Real Ass Man of Texas Tech, number 1, and Susanna Foster Kata of Texas Tech, number 3. Winnie B of Oklahoma State, number 4, and Akia Smith of Texas at number 6. Want to give the lean to Akia Smith just because she's got that 23-foot jump and a long jump, but this is not the long jump, this is a triple jump. And Real Last Man has been consistent, and she's got the indoor title. The Big 12 indoor title went to Winnie B. Um, ooh, I'm not picking a favorite. I just think the mark would be 46 feet or better. Just saying. I think that'll be a great jump. In our final event on the women's preview, we'll look in the throws and the multi-events. And this is where we will talk about the multi-events. It's the heptathlon. And I thought it would be even more in the Big 12, but none of the Oklahoma heptathletes are competing. They're going to spread out and obviously compete in other events to give their team more points. You have Bailey Golden of Oklahoma State versus Christine Blazovica of Texas. And I think both are looking to move up nationally. I'm not sharing their rankings here because I don't think it matters because I think they're both going to outperform their rankings, specifically Blazovica. But I am looking forward to seeing a new personal best out of both. This will be a pretty tight competition, even without those 2 Oklahoma athletes. Expect for Blazovica, I think, to come out on top. Then we move to the shot put. Woo woo! Number 3, number 5, and number 9. Jelani Davis of Ole Miss, Kelsey Moreau Ross of Georgia, and Alita Van Dalen of Florida. We have not mentioned Jelani a lot outdoors because the record has been broken by Jada Ross of Oregon. But Jelani Davis always loves to remind us picking against her is never wise unless it's Maya Lester of Colorado State. But Jelani Davis really kind of owns the SEC. Let's not forget that. Alita Van Dalen is going to be on her own field. But one-on-one, she has not beaten Jelani Davis this year. Moving to the discus, that is where I think Alita Van Dalen will be strongest. She's ranked number 2. She's going up against Veronica Fraley of Vanderbilt, who's number 4. Ooh. As you can see, these matchups are top 5, top 10 matchups all over the place. Very competitive. It's already Power 5 conferences. Yikes. There's going to be in some of these events some top-tier talent ranked in the top 10 that will probably not make their finals if they're not on their A game. It happens every year. We talk about it every year. We talked about it this past indoor season. We had surprises there. People not making the finals, and not because of a false start or because they're not able to get a mark in an event, field event. It's just the competition is just that much more intense. And we have to recognize that those athletes, because of their high rankings, will use this as a learning lesson because they need to be prepared for the regionals and the national meet. But this will give us a great measuring stick of where everybody's at in their fitness, their condition, their competitive mindset, and to see what team is in really great position to win the national title. So this is our women's preview video. Enjoy this weekend. Be by your phone, be by your TV, be out. I'll be at the ACC Championships. Enjoy all that college track and field has to offer because this will be a very fun weekend. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Any feedback you give is welcome, and I do converse with all members in the comment section. So I look forward to speaking with you, and as always, thank you so much for your support, and here's to a fantastic weekend.